Hello everybody, welcome to BB True Crime. This is episode 38. I am Becky.
I'm Beth.
And today we are here to do another case. Not entirely sure what though.
We are doing... Oh, I think we actually did say in the last episode what this one was.
That was yesterday, bro.
Yeah,
My brain's gone.
Yeah, there's been a sleep in between, so it's fine. We are doing a serial killer case.
Yay.
An infamous American one.
Okay.
So we are doing the Green River Killer.
Okay.
Who is well known as being... there's no mystery. Like, everyone knows who it is.
Oh,
who knows the case.
okay.
So, Gary Ridgway.
Alright.
Okay.
Straightforward one.
This won't be like a super long case, I don't imagine.
Okay.
Pretty cut and dry.
Fair enough.
A lot of victims also still aren't named.
Aye.
So
Aye.
yeah. So
That's great.
I want to just say a little trigger warning. Nothing too graphic, I suppose. But also this is a serial killer case, so you know you got the standard
Serial killer-y weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay.
Just straight to the point.
Got it.
Overview's very simple, just outlines who he is, what he did, the vibe.
Crazy guy, murderer, bad vibes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so Gary Ridgway, born February 18th, 1949,
Okay.
in Salt Lake City in Utah.
Salt Lake City. Beautiful.
Still alive.
Concerning.
Is an American serial killer who was the country's deadliest convicted serial killer.
Ooh, spicy.
Even though, controversially, maybe, to some, I think...
I like it controversially.
I think, oh, fuck, what's his name?
We've done a lot of serial killers.
The Killer Clown.
Ugh,
John
I hated
Wayne
that
Gacy.
part.
I don't
Okay,
know.
go.
I feel like he was worse. But that's just my opinion.
Okay.
He claimed to have killed as many as 80 women. He's a woman killer, by the way.
Oh.
Just women.
Okay.
But I'd like to say claimed, but because, like...
Bodies. No.
Yeah, a lot of bodies haven't been found, and it's also like, do you trust the word of a serial killer? Do you?
I mean, to be fair, he's got no reason to lie. He's already in jail.
Yeah, but then it gets to a point where, like, there's just, like, up in numbers, and it's
Just
like...
a brag. Got it.
Did you actually, like, though? So, we don't know.
Who knows?
Many of his victims, obviously, were then also prostitutes.
Oh,
in
not
Washington.
the prostitutes.
Yeah,
mostly
in Washington during the 80s and 90s. Typical serial killer time.
Yeah.
Although he only pled guilty in 2003 to only 48 murders. So.
Oh, only 48.
Technically, that still makes him one of the deadliest in America. So. But yeah, so you're also probably wondering why, if he killed most of them during the 80s and 90s, why was he only found guilty
in 2003?
But yeah, we will get there.
Okay.
Alright, so, background on Gary Gaza. So, he was the second son of his parents, who had 3 sons. They were Mary, who was a sales clerk, and Thomas Ridgway.
Okay.
Thomas was a bus driver. His home life was a little bit troubled.
Oh, here we go.
Apparently his mother was known to be a little bit domineering, and said that apparently people had said that while he was young, their parents got into like frequent disagreements, let's just say.
The old combative parents one.
Yeah, there was some violent arguments going on between them.
Got it.
They also came from a bit of a troubled, poor, deprived neighbourhood as well. Like I said, so his father was a bus driver. But his bus driver father also would quite often complain about the presence of sex workers in where they lived.
Okay.
Which
Hey,
I
bro,
guess...
they gotta live somewhere.
True, and well, they gotta work, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But also, I could see how that would rub off on your child if that's all you're hearing constantly.
Fuck the sex workers. This is where Beth kills me, because I did in fact forget to put my phone on silent. So, if you hear the sound of somebody being thrown from the window, it's only me.
Moving on.
Please continue.
So, anyway. So sorry, because that probably deafened all of you.
Come on, it wasn't that loud.
If people have AirPods in, they definitely...
I apologise to them, but not to you.
Okay. Anyway, so Gary and his brothers would often face corporal punishment.
Oh.
From his mother.
Oh.
It doesn't say from his father.
Okay.
So, maybe also the father, but this is mostly just saying the mother. Which again is another strike for reasons not to like women.
Yeah.
We're getting Dad talking about...
We're stacking them up here.
I hate sex workers. The mum's being a bit domineering.
Not to mention the fact that his dad and his mum
beating.
are very combative anyway, so that can breed resentment.
But yeah, she'd often beat the siblings with belts and sticks for just minor things.
Okay.
Gary would later tell defense psychologists that during childhood, a little bit cursed, just
God, here we go.
he had conflicting feelings of anger and sexual attraction towards his mother. Don't know how much you want to delve into that.
Anger, understandable. I'm not going to go anywhere near the second one.
Oh no, she's giving me like, is it Freud?
Mm.
Freud vibes.
Yeah. Freud wanted to fuck his mum.
But he also fantasized about killing her.
And here we go.
That was during childhood.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Straight out the gate.
So, I'm just saying, the source I got this from, it says the younger Ridgway.
Okay, so
And
the younger brother.
Well, Gary is the second.
Yeah, but he had a younger brother and then an older sister, didn't
Yeah, but I don't know if they mean when he was younger.
he? Okay.
Or if they're on about the youngest sibling.
Okay, got it.
No idea which one.
Got it.
Either way, this happened to one of them. The younger Ridgway claimed that his mother would engage in inappropriate behaviour to him.
Oh.
Rumouredly that apparently after wetting the bed one time, which is, I'm going to assume we're talking about Gary here.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like it would make more sense if he's saying this.
Yeah.
And that's also a thing on the, like, how to spot if someone might become a serial killer or a killer.
Prolonged bedwetting.
Yeah, into, like, the teens.
Got it.
Yeah, because wetting the bed was a habit that persisted into his early teens.
Oof.
That she would wash his genitals, even, like, as a teenager. Bit weird.
I understand wanting your kid clean, but...
Yeah, but when they're a teenager, I feel like...
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
They could probably do that themselves.
As a kid, they can do that themselves.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, like I said, inappropriate, but...
You've not heard of put them in front of a sink with a washcloth? Come on, boys.
Why sink? Just make them go in the bath.
Yeah, if it's the middle of the night, sometimes you don't want to give them a whole bath at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, wipe yourself off, get yourself clean, put some new jammies on, off you go.
Okay. Well, no. Well, I don't know, maybe that's how it went. I don't know, either way she did it. So, Gary is dyslexic.
Shout out the dyslexics. Yeah, boys.
Is that something you want to be shouting out? If serial killer's dyslexic?
Where I shout out every dyslexic, it sucks.
I mean, I don't doubt that, but I
Besides,
feel like let's separate ourselves from the serial killer.
Look, being a dyslexic has nothing to do with him being a serial killer.
I know, but I also would just want to group myself in with the same people, you know what I mean?
I'm a dyslexic, bro.
Either way, he was held back a year in high school. When he was 16, he stabbed a 6-year-old boy.
Wow. Straight out the gate.
Yeah, just straight to the point.
Got it.
The 6-year-old boy did survive the attack.
Oh, it's so good to hear.
But basically, Gary had led the boy into the woods and then stabbed him through the ribs into his liver. just to see A, what it would be like, and B, what the punishment would be. The answer was, well, he figured out what it was like, and B, the punishment was nothing. So.
Well, minor.
Cool. Love that for him. So yeah, he also was known to. So the thing is, they say he had a low IQ in like the 80s.
Okay.
But I don't know. Going on to like when he's doing the killing, some of the things he does, and the fact he went quite a long time without getting caught.
Quite intelligent. That's not luck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Man's
like,
thinking things through.
I mean, I know it took a while for like science and DNA to like
catch up.
Yeah, to like improve. But I don't know.
To be fair, a lot of serial killers use the lack of DNA to their advantage.
Oh, but he won. As we'll go into this case, he didn't really. He was quite frivolous with his DNA.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's just him being dumb and not thinking about it.
To be fair, like the understanding of what could leave DNA behind that and evidence.
It wasn't really the DNA that like makes me think, was he that dumb? It was more like other stuff he did.
Okay. We'll find out. We'll find out.
What do you want, sir? My Fitbit's gonna be like, get up and move.
The watch is harassing, but apparently my phone harassing is not allowed, but hers is.
Yeah, but mine don't make a noise, it vibrates. Reminder to move. Great. Cool. Thanks, guys.
So
well, here's your reminder to move.
Let me check something. Your phone, your Fitbit.
Yeah.
If you're sat down for what, 20 minutes?
I won't even say we've been sat down for 20 minutes, but...
reminds you that you need to move.
Yeah.
That's harassment.
I know. And tells you how many more steps and stuff you got left.
Bro, I sit down for hours on end. If I had to deal with 15-minute reminders.
If it hits us during, and it will hit us during a gaming session, go
rip our movement when we're gaming.
Anyway, back to the podcast. Sorry, guys. You know what this is like by now. So... yeah, we was arguing, well, whether or not Gary was a dum-dum or not.
We're going to find out if he was a dum-dum by the end of the episode, though.
Either way.
We'll discuss it later.
After graduating high school,
he
did graduate.
Okay, that's good.
In 1969.
1969?
Yes.
My mother was being born.
Wow. My mother was not.
No, your mother is younger.
Yeah, you're right. He married his high school girlfriend called Claudia.
That's cute.
Straight off the bat.
That's cute.
And then at the age of 20, he served a 2-year stint in the US Navy.
Okay.
Where he went to Vietnam. And did sea combat and that kind of thing.
Oh, not the Navy. Why is it always the Navy that gets the fucking serial killers?
Well, you know, he's got a bit of low IQ and shit. Yeah.
The Navy's known for high IQ, Beth.
It's also known for if, like, you ain't got any, like, prospects grabbing people. There is a war going on.
But
so
they say it's jail or the army for a reason.
Well, either way, I'm just saying he didn't really get punished, as far as I could find anyway, for that stabbing of the child, so...
Man just went on with his life.
But obviously he was only in the Navy for 2 years.
Okay.
During this time in the military, Gary had frequent sexual intercourse with sex workers. And then got gonorrhea.
Rip. I was about to say we've all been there, but I have not been there.
Although this really angered him, because obviously he probably got it from a sex worker.
He is fucking a sex worker.
Yeah.
What does he expect?
Not to get gonorrhea, apparently.
Are these like Vietnamese sex workers?
I'm going to assume, possibly, because that would make sense of where he is.
Where exactly are these Vietnamese sex workers in the middle of a war supposed to get a sexual health kit?
Also sleeping with the rest of the soldiers.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't...
Yeah. So where exactly are these women supposed to get health kits?
Either way,
man's a dummit.
He was really, really angry about this.
Shocking.
But despite that,
he didn't kill her.
Carried on fucking them without protection. So, really, can you get too angry about that?
No.
You're clearly not that bothered if you keep fucking them.
In true male fashion, I bet he did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But and then the marriage with his high school girlfriend also ended within the year. So
Probably something to do with the fucking of the sex workers.
Yeah, I was gonna say the gonorrhea, maybe.
And the gonorrhea. Let us not forget the gonorrhea.
Yeah, it's important.
Mm.
So after the military, he later settled in the Seattle area.
Okay.
Where he worked as a truck painter for nearly 30 years.
Okay.
So that's what he was doing while...
That's kind of cool, painting trucks. That's kind of cool.
Well, that's what he was doing while he was...
Yeah.
Being naughty.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
I'm just saying, his legitimate choice of employment, legitimate, does sound kind of cool.
Sounds like it paid alright.
Yeah.
Friends and family described him as being very friendly, but a bit weird.
I mean, who isn't weird
really
these days?
surprising.
And he's a serial killer. Of course
yes.
he's weird.
Yeah. But but he was known for being quite normal. That's probably why he, got, away with it for so long. Also, obviously, the DNA, but obviously we'll get into that.
Not to mention, he doesn't give off serial killer vibes. You know, there's serial killers that give off vibes.
The one stabbing.
Besides
you'll
the one
see a
stabbing.
picture and you'll be like, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So he actually had 3 marriages. So the first 2 marriages resulted in divorce because of cheating on from both ends.
Okay.
So not just him.
Okay.
His second wife, Marcia Winslow, claimed that he had placed her in a chokehold. During his second marriage, he also, to the same woman, he became quite religious.
No.
He really liked going door to door with religious stuff. He also was known to read the Bible aloud at work and at home. And he really tried to get his wife, into the strict teachings that his pastor was giving.
See, this is my struggle with people who preach about religion, is that the majority of them are, would you like to come to Jesus? This. No, have a nice day. God be with you. All of that stuff. And then there's the ones that just take it too far.
Mm.
And that's what puts me on edge for the whole lot of them. Is the people who will spend their entire conversation, every single conversation, trying to convince you to be religious. I had a guy like that at work who tried to convince me that all of my problems would be solved if I found Jesus again and went to church.
Yeah, but I don't know why it gives me the same vibe as some, extreme vegans.
Oh!
A little bit.
Do you remember that old vegan woman that we used to live with?
Yeah.
And you couldn't enter the kitchen without her complaining about the fact that we weren't vegan.
Yeah. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, God,
also,
no. I have relatives that are vegan.
Maybe don't force your beliefs on other people, is the message.
In general.
Also, you never know. These people could also be serial killers, so maybe don't anger them.
So what you're saying is don't shout at the vegan that I met down the street yesterday.
Or the religious person wanting you to be religious. You never know. You know what I mean? People preach.
Oh, he's left now. He's left work now. He's left me in peace. No one's asked me about church in years.
Well, he also would cry while reading the Bible or after sermons. Not that there's anything wrong with men crying.
No.
Go for it.
And look, to be fair, there are moments in the Bible that are emotional, you know?
He was really into it, is the
Man
message.
was finding Jesus and he was overwhelmed.
Yeah, it didn't stop him murdering people.
Okay, alright.
But,
He's hoping.
Shame. So he, despite, being married and then going into the religious route, he was still very consistently visiting sex workers. Also, despite the gonorrhea. Obviously.
With the gonorrhea.
I don't know. Did that ever get treated? I'll never know.
Who knows?
But yeah, that was just a thing that just still constantly happened.
Okay.
And he was known to be a bit, I don't know, hypersexual, a bit risque in his sex life. He often wanted his wives to participate in sex in public places.
Oh.
And often inappropriate places. Also in public.
Absolutely, he tried to fuck somebody over the altar at the church once.
Yeah, I was going to say in the church, that gives me the
For
vibe.
For sure. That is screaming, fuck God.
Even in places where his victims' bodies were later discovered.
Okay, well that does not surprise me.
Yeah, no, not so
because
much,
serial killer and hypersexualism does sometimes go hand in hand.
Yeah, but I feel like that last point was more of like a, I know what's happened here, or what I want to do to someone here.
That's what's getting me off.
It gives me a bit of a power vibe. But yeah, like I said, he was known for his bitter, risque, insatiable sexual appetite, if you couldn't already tell. His 3 ex-wives and several ex-girlfriends, obviously, there's the public risky sex, but then apparently he demanded sex from them several times a day.
Oh, that's exhausting.
So, I feel like twice sometimes can be quite a lot.
Yeah, but it's not.
But no, this was more than twice a day.
But it's not so much the like. Once a day is a lot. Every single day, that's a lot, bro.
It depends on what you class as sex, though. You don't have to be having. Full
I feel like this
penetrative
is.
sex.
I feel like this is full penetrative sex.
Yeah, probably.
But from his perspective, from what he's probably demanding of these women, right? It's not like slow, lazy shags. Right. I feel like this is going to be quite high intensity fucking.
Maybe head. Oh.
Every day. Oh, bruh.
But multiple times a day. I'm going to assume this is more than 3 times a day. From the sounds of it.
But, Jesus.
And only when he wanted to, also. Just not surprising.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine that if that woman knew she was going to have to fuck that guy multiple times a day, she would ever instigate it, because she knows it's only a matter of hours until he instigates it.
Another popular place was also the woods.
He really likes the woods, doesn't he?
Yeah, but just public areas. I think it was like.
I mean, the woods doesn't count as a public area, I don't think. I wouldn't count the woods as a public area.
But yeah, he also obviously had if you couldn't tell already, a very love-hate relationship with sex workers. He loved to complain about them.
But he loved to fuck them.
But yeah, he was still fucking them, like, constantly. But don't get me wrong, so he's fucking his wives or girlfriends several times a day, but he's also fucking the sex workers.
Oh my God.
So I don't know how is he going for so long?
But you want to know what I know?
Most guys can go for, as they get a bit older, they can go for, once, and then that's them done for the day, you know what I mean? This man's done several times.
Yeah, but unless they're hypersexual, because then that kind of,
No, but it's they're gonna run out of...
They can't.
They can. Can they?
What I want to know is how does this man not fathering children left, right and centre?
Especially when it's, from the sounds of it, at least with the sex workers, very unprotected. Yeah, I don't know.
Even with the girlfriends?
He's had 1 son.
Ah.
But that was with a wife, I believe.
Okay.
But
even then, only 1 child with all this sex going on. Impressive.
Yeah. He also hated the fact he had to pay sex workers. But it's sure, we'll add that in there. Alright.
I love that little nugget of information, personally. I think that's the best thing we've discovered all day.
Just makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, he had the son with the second wife.
Okay. That's the one he put in a chokehold.
Rumouredly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's the one he was religious with.
Got it.
So in 1980, Gary was arrested for allegedly choking a prostitute, but no charges were filed.
Because it's just a hoe.
No, because he claimed to the police that she bit him, and it was so kind of in self-defense. And the police were like, "Yeah, you're right, because we hate sex workers." So
they really do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I know we've had the whole sex work conversation, but bro, come on, they're just trying to make a living.
Well, to him, and clearly, no, she apparently attacked him first. So
have respect for people.
2 years after that, he was then arrested for solicitation. And it was shortly after that, roughly after 1982, that the killing spree began.
Okay. 1982. He was arrested for solicitation. He got off, I'm presuming. Not like that.
I don't know, it doesn't say.
And here goes the killing.
Shortly thereafter, yeah.
Here goes the killing. Okay.
So,
let's get into
the
it.
murders.
The murders.
Throughout, obviously, the 80s and 90s, he is rumoured to have murdered at least 71 teenage girls and women near Seattle and Tacoma, Washington.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Obviously, not all of these bodies, A, were found, or B, were identified.
Some of them are just missing.
Yes.
Got it.
So in court statements, Gary, he said that he had killed so many he'd lost count. So reliable.
Harsh, but I feel like it's entirely possible that he genuinely has lost count.
The victims were believed to either be sex workers or runaways.
Okay.
He says people that would be either would easily go missing or that wouldn't be missed. So.
Okay, well, from a killer's perspective...
Easy prey.
Yeah. They're the ones that, no one's going to come looking for them, are they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that was his reasoning.
Okay.
Sometimes he would show the women pictures of his son to kind of be like, oh, I have a son.
Makes me trustworthy. I'm a father.
I'm a trustworthy dad. I got a boy. Now get in the car, you know what I mean?
But the problem is a lot of the time that does work.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because it's like how many kidnappers dress up as people of authority that kids think they can trust.
Yeah,
like,
including police.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not difficult to fool somebody into thinking you're trustworthy by making yourself look like someone who's trusted.
So, like, the thing is, it's like, with this paragraph, it's very, like, generalised. So he'd use, like, the same tactic
over and over again for the same people.
He'd use the same method of, like, killing.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So that's why the murders for, like, each victim are not really, like, gone into, because he does the same thing, basically.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so...
He's got an MO.
Yeah. So then he would, once they got in the car, or whatever, he would engage in sexual activity with them, and then, after a few minutes of intercourse, would... well, usually it would be from behind.
Okay.
He would wrap his forearm around the necks and use the other arm to pull back as tightly as possible to strangle them. So,
I mean, brutal but clever. Brutal but clever, because it doesn't leave ligature marks because it's over a wide area of dispersal. So if you use a rope, there's a pattern.
Yeah. Well,
like, your arm... How are you supposed to match the impression of an arm against one arm? Like,
true.
It's class clever.
He killed most victims either in his home, his truck, or a secluded area.
Okay.
Most of the bodies were then dumped in wooded areas along the Green River.
That's why he's called the Green River Killer.
Yeah. Though he did have some other dump sites within South King County.
Okay.
So, though there was 2 confirmed and another 2 suspected victims in the Portland, Oregon area.
Okay. Man went on holiday for the week.
The bodies were often left in clusters, usually posed, most of the time nude.
Damn.
Well, obviously that's probably some kind of degradation, like dehumanizing thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he sees them as lesser, so of course they're going to be, like, humiliated.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously if most of them are sex workers, like, well...
They spend their life naked, they can die naked. Not my opinion, just clarifying.
He would sometimes return to the victims' bodies and engage in necrophilia.
Oh.
Classic.
Oh.
Classic. However, he claimed, later when asked about it, he didn't find the necrophilia sexually satisfying, but apparently having sex with the deceased reduced his need to obtain a living victim and limited his exposure to being caught. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but...
So he was using that as kind of like a secondary high to avoid needing a new high.
I guess in a way.
Okay.
But either way, I'd say that I'd argue that returning to the body is equally dangerous. Because it just means you're more likely to get caught if you're receiving...
Not to mention you're more likely to leave your DNA all over them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And he's already infamous for not using protection with living people anyway,
Yeah.
so... He would off. This is what I mean about him and DNA. He didn't give a shit.
Okay.
He would contaminate his crime scenes all the time.
Okay.
So this is why people are like, why was he not caught sooner? And it probably just was because DNA was still, in baby steps at the time.
And it was so new back then. Like, people were still figuring out how to apply it. Like,
but the thing is, they had no shortage of DNA
specimens.
samples because he didn't give a shit.
Yeah. But at the same time, like a lot of, unless you're involved with using DNA in crime, or you're keeping up with the development, a lot of the average American, or average anybody, to be honest, even in the UK, didn't understand how DNA worked.
Yeah.
Like, it's only in recent history that you can pull DNA off of fingerprints now.
Yeah, I know, but I know he rumouredly had a low IQ, but you would still think maybe I shouldn't be spitting gum out right near that corpse. But there was also cigarettes, written materials that belonged to people.
Yeah.
That he'd just leave at crime scenes. He even transported a few victims across state lines, like into Oregon, to confuse the police. And I'm just saying, if you're out here trying to confuse the police, how low is your IQ? You know what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Like,
I genuinely feel like the whole kind of DNA thing is people didn't know any better.
No, but for me, it's not even DNA. DNA, it's like, fine, yeah, if he doesn't know much about DNA, that's fine. He's got a low IQ.
He has the intelligence enough to drive across state lines.
To try and confuse the police. That's where I'm like,
I mean,
well, he can't be like too dumb though.
He's not that stupid. And to be fair, like, he's been in the military.
He knows what he's doing.
He's been in the military. He's holding down this truck painting job, which uses quite a few different chemicals and stuff. You have to have a certain level of intelligence for that. Not high, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not a high level that's required, but there would be at least a baseline of kind of, this person's missing in this county, but if you just get a random person showing up in the other county, they're not going to know who she is.
Exactly, and like counties,
that's a whole level of forethought and planning in that.
Obviously, they're going to have different police, like
and it's
for different counties, and they might not be communicating with each other.
It's so well known that county doesn't talk to county in America.
Exactly, so it's
a joke on TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
The local Leos never talk to each other.
Yeah. But he was supposed to be quite a mild-mannered guy. Like I said, he came across as quite normal to people. He never spoke to anyone about, obviously, the killings.
Yeah, obviously.
No. But he also, which is quite unusual for serial killers, never ever took any trophies from victims.
Oh, okay. But I suppose he could revisit the bodies. So that's how he gets his secondary high.
Yes, but he didn't always do that.
That's true.
But for serial killers, that's very unusual, because usually they keep something.
Yeah, to relive that feeling.
Yeah. So his first victim was thought to have been a 16-year-old girl who went missing after leaving her foster home in July 1982.
Okay.
Which was obviously the same year he got arrested for solicitation. Her body was found a week later in the Green River. A unique kind of spray paint was found on her clothing and on the clothing wrapped around her neck.
Oh, from his trucking. Got it.
But the paint was never tested for over 20 years.
That's sloppy police work right there.
Because that would have got him.
That would have dobbed him straight in it, because
really
the kind that you use on trucks and stuff like that is specialised.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that automatically limits.
And obviously that paint probably is all over his clothes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And his truck.
Yeah. On August 15th, same year, 3 more bodies were found. A detective, David Reichard, definitely mispronounced that. Anyway, was one of the first authorities to arrive on the scene. Marcy Chapman, 31, was found by some shallow water alongside the naked body of 17-year-old Cynthia Hinds. Nearby in an undergrowth lay the body of Opal Mills, who was 16, who had blue trousers knotted around her neck. She had her breasts exposed and bruises on her arms and legs.
Okay.
After 4 more victims were found, the King County Sheriff's Office formed the Green River Task Force to investigate the murders.
King County? You mean like Rick Grimes?
I don't know, I'm just telling you what it says.
Bro, Rick Grimes is from Kings County Sheriff's Department.
I'm not a massive Walking Dead fan.
Bruh! I'm just saying, if Rick Grimes was on this case, he would have done a lot better. Carl! Sidetracked. Sorry, please continue.
We need to stop the walkers.
The walkers. Daryl.
Yeah, okay. God, I've just lost where we are completely.
We were talking about the Special Investigation Unit that was created.
Yes, the task force.
Yes.
They included a man called Robert Keppel, who also wrote a very famous book about the killings, and David Mann, whose last name I immediately butchered.
That was a butchering, to be fair.
But they actually went to, because they realised they had a serial killer on their hands, they actually regularly went and interviewed Ted Bundy in jail.
Oh, to try and get a look into this guy's psyche.
Yes.
Got it.
And Bundy, obviously up his own ass, just constantly. I don't think we've done Ted Bundy. I don't think we've done
No, we decided not to.
I mean, he's still on the list. But...
He's on the list, but we decided to put him off because the big Netflix TV program came out about it, and I was like, let's do somebody else.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, Ted Bundy's very just up his own ass. He thinks he's hot shit.
He does sound very self-absorbed, to be fair, from what little information I've heard. He was his own
defence, and it didn't go well.
Any man who defends himself in his own own trial is just...
So Ted Bundy obviously did his opinions on the psychology, motivations, behaviour of the killer.
Okay.
He suggested that the killer would likely revisit dump sites to have sex with the victims, which was true. And that if the police found a fresh grave, maybe stake it out, and there's a high chance he could come back to it.
Oh, so don't investigate it.
Wait it out.
Put a man on and wait and see if he comes back.
So, Ridgway was actually arrested in 1982, which is the same year the killings began.
But I was going to say, that's within the year.
On 2001, on charges related to prostitution again. He did actually become a well-known suspect in 1983 because an 18-year-old girl called Marie Malvar disappeared.
Okay.
And her boyfriend and her pimp found a truck outside Ridgway's house, which is the same one that they had seen her getting into, or they thought that they had, the day she went missing.
Got it.
So Gary was interviewed about this, and obviously the police had also received several other tips that had mentioned him as well.
Oh, so he was clearly a person of interest.
Yeah.
Big time.
But he basically was like, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. They made him do a polygraph test.
Gaslight!
Yeah, they made him do a polygraph test in 1984.
Polygraphs are so easy to beat, bro.
Yeah, he passed it, so they were like, yeah, fair enough.
But it's been proven.
Yeah,
that as long as
at the time, these were viable pieces of evidence.
Okay.
Like, you could use that in court at the time. You know what I mean?
Like, God, you can't use a polygraph in court anymore. Because it's one of the fucking trippiest things known to man.
So, in 1987, they did actually get a search warrant for his house and his work, but none of the items found there, including carpet fibres and ropes, could be linked to the victims.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't use stuff like that. He uses his bare hands.
So, well, yeah.
But they didn't know that, did they?
So, in 1985, he began dating a woman called Judith Mawson, who became his final and third wife in 1988.
Wow, imagine being the person that you marry while your man's off hoeing it around and killing the hoes.
Yeah, I don't know, but like from what I've read, she's also a bit weird.
Okay. Strong start.
So she got interviewed in 2010.
Okay.
Ed said that when she moved into his house when they were dating, there was no carpet. Which probably why the detectives didn't find out.
Yeah.
And the detectives later told her that it's probably because he'd wrapped her body in the carpet. Makes sense.
Are the balls to bring a murder victim back to your house, though?
Yeah, but like I said earlier, the house was one of the main killing areas.
That's true.
It was his house, his truck, and then outer places like
in the woods.
Yeah. She described that he'd often leave for work early, but like really early in the morning. But he never really like got paid for it. Wonder what he was doing early in the morning.
Fucking the hoes.
And killing
the hoes.
Yeah. She claimed that she never suspected Ridgway of any crimes before she was contacted by the authorities in 1987, and she'd apparently never even heard of the Green River Killer because she never watched the news. Fair enough, but I feel like people are still talking about it, you know what I mean? If you've got a serial killer going around town.
That's curious, that is.
And Gary said that while he was with Mawson, his kill rate actually did go down, and that he did truly love her. Of his 49 known victims, only 3 were killed after he married the third wife.
Oh, okay.
But then she was like, so really, I've saved all these women. And that's when I was reading it and I was like...
And that's when she lost us. You didn't.
That's what...
You didn't.
That's one way to look at it,
That is not correct.
Sure, babe. Sure. Yeah, you actually saved all these people. I mean, yes, his kill count did go down, but like...
Look, honey, sometimes the pussy's just that good.
Don't know about that. Didn't stop him before, so...
Clearly not. But don't forget, he clearly loved this woman.
Oh, yeah, you're right. In April 1987, police took DNA samples from Ridgway, including hair and saliva. But he wasn't actually arrested until November 30th, 2001, while he was at work.
I'm sorry, when was his DNA taken?
1987.
Right. 1987.
Yeah, but the DNA was just never...
So 14
they
years.
took the samples, but they didn't do
test
anything.
it.
No.
For 14 years.
Yeah. Like I said, he was a truck painter for 30 years, so... he was surviving. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, yeah. So, he'd been arrested for suspicion of murdering 4 women nearly 20 years earlier, after being once again identified as a potential suspect.
Is nobody seeing the alarm bells?
But yeah, it wasn't until 2001 that the DNA was actually finally tested. And
Sweet
it
Mother of
conclusively
Jesus.
linked him to semen left in various victims by the saliva swab that was taken by the police in 1987. Damn.
No.
The 4 victims named in the original indictment were Marcia Chapman, Opal Mills, Cynthia Hines, and Carol Ann Christensen.
Okay.
Christensen. It's Christ. 3 more victims, Wendy Caulfield, Deborah Bonner, and Deborah Eates, were added to the indictment after forensic science identified microscopic the spray paint from his job.
Got it.
As the specific brand and the composition of the paint were linked to the same factory they worked at.
Okay.
But actually, there was more victims that were identified in 2020.
Okay.
They identified a 14-year-old Wendy Stevens.
14.
Yeah, she
was
was his youngest victim. She had run away from home in August 1983. And then her remains were recovered from a swamp behind a baseball field in 1984.
Can you imagine that nearly 30 years later?
Yep.
Like, she would have been like 45 or something if she'd survived. Bro.
3 years later, in December 2023, the King County Sheriff's Office in Washington announced that it found another victim through the DNA called Lori Ann Ratspotnick, who ran away from home at 15 in 1982 and was never seen again. Her remains were discovered in 1985, and she became known as... So because a lot of the victims were unidentified or... the ones that were unidentified anyway, they were referred to as Bones and then a number. So she was known as Bones 17 during the investigation.
Jesus.
Ridgway admitted in 2002 that he had placed 2 victims in the area where Lori Ann was found, but only Lori Ann was found.
Got it. So there's at least one more out there that we haven't found yet.
Yeah. But that's the case. That's the thing, is a lot of his victims also still haven't been found.
Got
it. So after being caught, so 5th of November 2003, he entered a guilty plea to 48 charges of aggravated first-degree murder as part of a plea bargain to spare him execution.
Oh, so he wants to get off death row.
Yeah, that is why he is still alive today. In exchange for his cooperation in locating some other remains of victims and providing other details about his murders and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Which was accepted. In his statement, along with his guilty plea, he explained that he killed all of his victims inside King County, Washington, and had transported and dumped remains of 2 other women near Portland to confuse police. In 2003, he also told investigators that he had, during his first original questioning, he had stood against a fence in a certain way to conceal scratches that one of his victims had left on his arm while trying to escape.
Oh.
So if they'd have actually just looked at him, his body fully, they'd have seen defense wounds.
Bruh.
From a victim.
And even a police officer can't not see that.
But they wouldn't have found it after he'd been let go, because then he burned the scratches with battery acid to disguise them as soon as the detectives had left.
Oh,
so.
Because it's easier to explain away a burn than it is scratches.
So in December 18th, 2003, the judge in King County sentenced Ridgway to 48 life sentences without the possibility of parole.
Good.
To be served consecutively. He was also sentenced to an additional 10 years for tampering with evidence for each victim, which added 480 years to already on top.
So his 48 consecutive life sentences.
I don't even know what that math is. So later he was given another life sentence for when the remains of his 49th victim was found. He led prosecutors to 3 bodies in 2003. On August 16th of that year, the remains of a 16-year-old girl was found in Washington.
Yeah.
Close to the state route 410, I don't know.
410,
yeah. They were pronounced as belonging to Pammy Annette Avent. The remains of Marie Malver and April Buttram were found in September 2003.
Yeah.
November 23rd, 2005, it was found that a hiker during the weekend had found the skull of one of the women that he had admitted murdering.
Okay.
But no other bones.
Got it.
The skull of... sorry about that, guys. The skull
that was not me for once.
Another victim was found belonging to Tracy Winston, who was 19 when she disappeared in Northgate Mall on September 12th, 1983.
Okay.
And that was found in November 20th, 2005 by another hiker. Hikers really be out here finding
Look,
the worst shit.
Bro, hikers go out when nobody else goes and discovers things that nobody else sees.
And obviously he liked the woods, but that was found in the wooded area near Highway 18. He confessed to more confirmed murders than any other American serial killer. He just like admitting them. That's why it's like, did he though? Or like, is he just like trying to like ramp up the numbers?
Bro, I feel like this. I just like to say in my head, I've been mathing the maths, right? He has over 6,000 years.
Yeah, but
tagged to him.
Life sentences obviously tend to carry different things in different states.
True.
So,
but
even
going on the idea that he lives to 80, right? It's still well over 6,000 years. Okay? I feel like at this point, the man's smart enough to know that he may as well go down as one of the most infamous.
Well, he already was, just from the amount of bodies found.
Yeah, but he's only adding to what he believes is his street cred right now.
Mm.
So I feel like his admittance of these murders is completely legit.
He's also said he's lost count, so...
He's lost count, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have specific memories of people that he can dangle in front of the police to make himself interesting again.
Let's just say, over a period of 5 months, with talking with the police and interviews, he confessed to 48 murders. Obviously, he got sentenced to 49, because obviously then, later on in, 2020, the 49th victim was found.
Mm-hmm.
But then, later on, he was like, oh, no, but it was actually 65. And then, later on, he was like, oh, wait, bro, that it was actually 71. And then someone later on was like, oh, wait, it was actually, 80. So it's like, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot casually pop. I feel like he used it as kind of a way to keep people interested in him.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if he keeps admitting to murders, people are going to keep coming back to talk to him about it.
Well, true, yeah. There's a lot of, video stuff that you can just view online of him. In his confession, he acknowledged that, like I said, most of them were obviously prostitutes because they were easy to pick up, and he hated them. He also then claimed that he would bury some later victims because then he would resist the urge to commit necrophilia.
Valid.
So immediately he was just put in solitary confinement. Rumouredly has been ever since.
Okay.
However, wildly, and I don't know how this almost happened, good thing someone noticed and put a stop to this, he almost got out of jail in 2020.
Oh.
Because of COVID.
Ah.
So, a lot of the prisons were releasing a lot of prisoners to try and stop the spread of prisons, because it was getting pretty bad in the prisons.
In prisons, yeah.
And for some reason...
He was on the list. Oy.
And he was gonna be released. And someone was like, maybe not.
Maybe let's not release the serial killer with more bodies than any other.
Because he'll probably just
keep
going. Do it again. And he's got a stupid amount of life sentences. So
I don't understand how a man with 48 plus life sentences even gets looked at.
Yeah. So luckily that was stopped.
Praise Jesus to the person who caught that.
So now I have a list of victims.
Okay.
I have a list of, these are the ones that are identified.
Confirmed.
Rumoured, a generalisation estimate of when they disappeared and when the body was found.
Okay. This is going to be a long list.
Wendy Lee Caulfield disappeared July 8th, 1982. Body found same year, July 15th.
Yeah.
Giselle Ann Lavon disappeared July 17th, 1982. Body was found September 25th, same year. Deborah Lynn Bonner disappeared July 25th, 1982. Body found same year, August 12th. Marcia Faye Chapman disappeared August 1st, 1982. Body found same year, August 15th. Cynthia Jean Hinds, August 11th, 1982, disappeared. Found the same year, 4 days later.
Yeah.
Opal Charmaine Mills disappeared August 12th, 1982. Discovered 3 days later. Terry Rain Mulligan disappeared August 29th, 1982. Discovered 2 years later, April 1st. Mary Bridget Meehan disappeared September 15th, 1982. Discovered a year later, 13th November. Deborah Lorraine S. Disappeared September 20th, 1982. Like I said, he was busy in these years. These are like
2 or 3 days apart.
Yeah, this is mental. Discovered 1988, May 30th. Linda Jane Rule disappeared September 26th, 1982. Discovered the next year, January 31st. Denise Darcel Bush disappeared October 8th, 1982. Discovered 1985, June 12th. Shonda Lena Summers disappeared October 9th, so disappeared the day later, day after another victim. 1982, discovered the year afterwards, August 11th. Shirley Marie Sherrill disappeared, rough estimate 20th to 22nd of October 1982, discovered 1985, June 14th.
Jesus.
Laurie Ann Ratpotnick, roughly disappeared November 26, 1982, discovered December 1985. Dolores Laverne Williams disappeared March from some point between the 8th and 14th, 1983. Discovered a year afterwards, March 31st. Gail Lynn Matthews disappeared April 10th, 1983. Discovered the same year, September 18th. Andrea Marion Childers disappeared April 14th. Discovered October 11th, 1989. Sandra K. Gabbett disappeared April 17th. Discovered the next year, April 1st. Kimmy Kai Ricks Pitzel.
What a name.
Was taken the same day as the last victim.
Whoa.
Was found December 15th, 1983. Mary Jane Malver disappeared April 30th. Body was found 2003, September 26th.
Oh, so she was gone for a long time.
Yeah. Carol Ann Christensen disappeared May 3rd. Was found the same year, 5 days later.
Okay.
Martia Teresa Arthur Lee disappeared May 22nd. Discovered 1984, November 14th. Cheryl Lee Wims disappeared the next day, May 23rd. Discovered 1984, March 22nd. Yvonne Antosh disappeared May 31st. Discovered later that year in October 15th. Carol Ann Voice disappeared between May 31st and June 13th. Found March 10th, 1985. Constance Elizabeth Neon disappeared June 8th. Was found same year in October 27th. Tammy Charlene Lills disappeared the day afterwards. Found April 23rd, 1985.
Oh.
Kelly Marie Ware disappeared July 18th. Was found the same year in October 29th. Tina Marie Thompson went missing July 21st. Discovered a year after, April 20th. April Dawn Buttram disappeared August 18th. Was found in 2003. Debbie May Abernathy disappeared September 5th. Was found in 1984, March 31st. Tracy Ann Winston disappeared a week later, September 12th. Discovered in 1986, March 27th. Maureen Sue Feeney disappeared a week later, September 28th. Found 1986, May 2nd. Mary Sue Bellow disappeared October 11th. Was found a year and 1 day later.
Jesus.
Pammy Annette Avent was found in 2003, but disappeared on October 26, 1983. We're nearly at the end.
Oh my lord.
Delise Louise Plager disappeared October 30th. Was found a year later on February 14th. Kimberly Nelson disappeared November 1st, was found June 14th, 1986. Lisa Lorraine Yates disappeared 23rd of December, was found a year later on March 13th.
23rd of December.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Bad Christmas.
She
Mary...
didn't get to have a Christmas.
No, she didn't. Mary Exeter West disappeared. We're now into 1984.
Okay.
Disappeared February 6th, was discovered a year later on September the 8th. Cindy Ann Smith disappeared March 21st, was found in 1987, June 27th. Patricia Michelle Barzak disappeared on October 17th, 1986, was found in 1993, February 3rd. Roberta Joseph Hayes went missing February 7th, 1987, went missing 9/11, 1991.
Damn. Okay.
Martha Reeves, March 5th, disappeared in 1990. Was found September 20th that same year. And the last victim that was known,
yeah.
Patricia Ann Yellowrobe, went missing January, date unknown, 1998, and was found same year in August on the 6th.
Okay.
So the task force have obviously another victim list, but this is ones he's suspected of but not charged with. But these were attributed to the Green River Killer. Amina Agishef, who was 35, disappeared July 7th, 1982. Body was found 2 years later. Cassie Ann Lynn was 16. Body not found, but went missing August 28th, 1982. Kelly K. McGuinness was 18. Body never found, but went missing June 28th, 1983. Angela Marie Gardner was 16. Went missing July 1983. Body is discovered 3 years later, April 22nd. And Patricia Osborne, who was 19. Body never found, but went missing 20th of October 1983. So just obviously a lot of
names there.
Yeah. Just some small other little pieces of info. Obviously there's been a lot of movies, books, TV shows, music around the crime and his killings.
Yeah.
But weirdly also, in 2004, a artist called Phil Hansen created and displayed artwork depicting Gary Ridgway's face, but composed of 11,792 portraits of the 48 victims.
Oh.
Wild.
That's distasteful.
I haven't seen that. I'd be intrigued to look that up.
That's distasteful, bro.
But yeah, so that is the case. I have a picture, 2 pictures, one of some of the victims.
Yeah.
And then of Gary Ridgway.
Got it. He does look weird to me. He looks like your average middle-aged white man.
He's got really beady eyes. Is it just me?
I mean, his eyes are a bit beady, but I wouldn't look at him and say that I would, be concerned by him, to be honest.
I mean,
he looks pretty
average.
average.
Alone with him.
No, but at the same time, I wouldn't look at him and be like, oh, he looks dangerous. Or he looks unnerving. I wouldn't get a bad vibe off him.
I would. I don't know why.
Maybe it's because you know. Maybe it's because you know.
Yeah, but now you know.
I do, but at the same time, I don't look at him and think, that's a serial killer.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. You don't think that about serial killers generally.
There are some serial killers I've looked at and been like, you're definitely a serial killer. You give me serial killer. The clown guy.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, he fucking looked like a serial killer.
I mean, he was very charismatic. Did very well for himself.
He looks like a serial killer. That guy.
The other thing was just because he dressed up like a clown.
Yeah, because I don't like clowns. But that's
I don't feel like that's a valid thing.
She's like, your opinion is not valid. Like,
he's a serial killer because he dressed up like a clown.
No. I didn't say that. I said he gave me bad vibes. John Wayne Gacy gave me bad vibes when I looked at his photo. Bad vibes. That guy, I might cross the street, but I'm not walking a different way home. John Wayne Gacy,
Fair.
I'm calling a taxi immediately. Clown suit or no clown suit.
But you'd have been safe because he was into guys, so...
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Or would you, though?
Well, I don't have a penis, and that was his thing, so...
True.
You know?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Non-binary though I may be, I'm not man enough for the guy because I don't have a pee-pee.
But you might not know that.
He's about to find out.
Well, yeah.
Man's going to be
Plot
sorely
twist.
disappointed.
Wow. Yeah. Fair.
My bad, you can go.
Sorry. Got confused there, my bad.
You're so passing. You're so passing. I thought you were a dude. Nah, bro, we're good. Immediately go home and call the police. Serial killer tried to serial me.
And they're like, nah, I don't know what you're on about.
Gaslight everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Gary Ridgway.
That was a lot of people, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he did kill a lot of people.
Bro, like,
So.
the day after? What
Yeah,
do you mean you
honestly,
spent your whole
ballsy,
weekend?
You know what I mean?
You spent your whole weekend homiciding people.
I know, specifically between 1982 and 1984.
Bro, that's a lot of people. But think he went like a couple of months without doing it. And then he'd kill like 3 people in the space of 2 weeks.
Some even more, like,
Yeah.
it was like, damn, alright.
I'm not gonna lie, I lost track of the dates sometimes. I was like, there's so many dates getting thrown at me right now. I'm like,
That's
"Oi."
only the known victims. Like, there's like at least 30 to 40 more that have just either never been identified or have never been found. So, well, also it's like, how believable is that though, to be fair?
Honestly, with the rate he was killing people, I'm inclined to believe it.
But also, if you realise, what I read out, yeah, it was a long list. But like,
It's not even half.
those were the ones that we found out who they are.
Yeah.
If you go on sites to do with this case, like government sites, they have pictures of bodies that are not identified, who they need identifying. So also, if you might know anyone from that area who went missing around that time, or
Go
your
check out the
family
list.
go check it out. You know, you might know some people.
You never know. You never know. The more brains we have on it,
More eyes.
more eyeballs.
But, you know, unfortunately, some of those people might not ever be identified.
Discovered.
Especially if they're transient and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Bruh. Yeah,
That was one hell of a...
that was scary.
That was a guy.
This is why no one's safe.
Yeah.
You work an everyday guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
They say not all men, but it's enough.
Yeah, it is enough. Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, there's an interesting end to that sentence. It's not all men, but every woman has a story.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And like that always intrigues me.
But it's also like, I don't wanna I don't wanna like generalise.
No.
Because yeah, there's a lot of
There's a lot of
nice
great men
guys
out there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's also a lot of nasty boys. So
And when they're nasty, they're nasty.
yeah, they can get real nasty. But you know, don't get me wrong.
But to be fair, we've had our fair share of nasty women
Yeah.
in this, like last night.
But you know, women are often just more prone to killing, for example, children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, specifically matricide, their own
children.
offspring.
Yeah.
Yes. But you know, we've got a few cases that will go into those kind of things.
Not the special one though.
No, not the special.
Not the special.
But yeah, no. So that was today's episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, episode 39, we have the DC sniper
Sniper.
attacks.
Yeah.
And then we have special episode 40, which is fathers being killed.
Dead daddies.
Yes. Maybe that'll be the title of that episode name.
Dead daddies.
Well, baby deaths or whatever got a really high amount of people listening to it, and I feel like it's because of the cursed way I named that episode without realizing it sounded a bit cursed.
Bro, baby deaths was I needed needed therapy after that one.
Yeah, no, that was pretty bad. Yeah, that was bad. But yeah, no, that one got a lot of traction. But I remember that we released that around the time me and Matt started dating. And he got a notification come up on his phone that it got released. And he messaged me and he was like,
bruh,
what is this? Explain what this is. And
I'm gonna need an explanation before I call the police.
Yeah, I was like, look, I can explain. It does seem a bit out of pocket.
To be fair, it's a good explanation, but even when I get these notifications on my phone sometimes, even I'm like, oof, dang.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I've had fun. Even if I've been listening to a very long list of dead women.
Well, we did with our last serial killer, which I believe was the killer clown.
Yeah,
John
it was.
Gacy.
Yeah.
We're dead boys.
Yeah.
So I
now
feel
we got
like
dead gals.
Yeah, I feel like it was only fair.
I mean, it's none of it's fair.
Well, yeah.
But keep it balanced.
So also, quickly, I was gonna do. This episode was supposed to be Madeleine McCann. However, I'm really on the fence.
Okay.
With when or if we will do that episode.
Okay.
Because the family like to sue people that talk about the case.
Oh.
Yes, even to this day. So, everything has to be alleged. Certain things cannot be spoken about. And
I'm not sure how I feel about people suing people for talking about it.
Exactly. So, I was like, you know what?
Let's hold off on that one for now.
Put that right to the back. And yes, so Gary was a step in.
That's fine
for Madeleine McCann.
That's fine. We'll we might come back to that, but I think for now we'll leave that one on the back burner because I don't know about you, but I don't feel like getting sued.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say, just in case someone comes back to us and is like, in this episode you were doing this. You said you were doing this.
Yeah.
But then you didn't.
That's my bad.
That's why.
That's why. And to be fair, it feels like a valid reason. Like, I'm here for a good time, I'm not here to get sued. You know, this is a pretty small podcast. It doesn't have a big listening base, but at the same time, I still don't want to get sued.
But also, like, one of the reasons I'm quite glad we don't I did think about going over to YouTube for a while, but if we took the podcast over to YouTube, we have to censor ourselves on a lot of words, quite heavily. So I didn't want to have to do that.
Yeah,
I want to be able to say what I want to say.
That's the point about this. Is it's an open conversation.
Yeah, it's just two people having a chat. You know what I mean?
And I feel like, you know, I like the way we set this up, like, the open, honest, and often very frank way we talk about things is what I enjoy about this. And, like, if I'm having to sit there thinking about what I can and cannot say, it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Exactly. And then especially if then you end up saying something, bits are going to have to get re-recorded, edited, you know what I mean? And it's like, a lot of this, if not all of it, is unedited.
Yeah, it is literally a stop and a start.
Yeah, and it's like, you know,
and occasionally we pause you, but that's like to go and get takeaway and cups of teas and stuff. Like, you don't need to listen to the kettle boil.
I think it makes it quite fresh and quite
because you never know what we're going to go
real.
Next.
Yeah. So yeah, things are never cut out.
No.
You get what you get.
And we talk about what we talk about.
Yeah, we just say things how we say things. So.
That's what I like about it. Like, if I had to start censoring what I could and couldn't say, I think that would take a lot of the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, but there's just, like, the list of words and stuff you can't say or phrases, it gets longer all the time. And it's like, I'd lose track of what I can and can't say.
Honestly, same. We need a list printed next to us at all times and do not say any of these.
It's like phrases and words you can't say on TikTok. Like sewer slide and...
You can't say grape.
Yeah, it's like that. Except they're more strict. So...
Jesus.
Like, even swearing.
Fuck that.
Yes. No. I'd do it accidentally, you know what I mean?
I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, oh shit, man. I'd be like,
no,
oh no!
God, the whole fucking thing again. Oh, yep, again.
2 minutes in, I've already swore.
But yeah, so, yeah.
We will not be going over to YouTube. That is that.
But it's not anytime soon. But yeah, just also because we haven't been fantastic at uploading for the past, year or so.
Be patient with us, it's been a struggle.
We are thinking about trying out different, because obviously we don't live in the same city anymore, that's why. We're thinking about trying out some, over the internet kind of...
Discord-based chats kind of stuff.
Yes, seeing how that gets recorded and stuff, and then hopefully, fingers crossed,
we'll be able to do things a little bit more regular.
Yeah, a bit more content.
Back to how we used to do it a couple of years ago.
So...
Before somebody abandoned me.
Fingers crossed. Hey, things happen. Right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, guys.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Stay away from serial killers, please.
And, if you're going to sleep with sex workers, maybe wear protection, and then you won't get gonorrhea.
And be nice to your sex workers.
And don't stab young boys.
In the woods.
Or anyone.
No stabbing in general, please.
Or strangling. Unless you're into that.
Enough.
Anyway, okay.
Enough.
Okay.
God almighty.
Right, okay, cool. So this has been BB True Crime.
That is Beth.
I was going to say I am Becky, and that is not correct.
That's not correct. I am Becky.
You threw me off by
That
saying
is
my
Beth.
name. I was like, damn.
Enough. It's early in the morning.
You know who we are by now. Okay.
Honestly, if you don't, look at the title.
Goodbye.
Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.